Why have media members jumped up and down, stood on their head, and pooped snowballs over Shedeur Sanders, and nobody has the answer? It doesn't stop the Once Upon a Time at ESPN folk for showing you exactly why they're tired of the whole Sanders thing. But it doesn't stop the media. Why have media members absolutely lost their ever-loving minds to the point of losing any kind of credibility? It'll be interesting to see because the bar is so low. It'll be interesting to see whether Shedeur Sanders, if he gets another crack at it. When I want smart stuff, and by the way, this show is presented to you by Prize Picks. When I want smart stuff, I go to Davey. Davey is smart. He's a lawyer. He thinks. Me, I talk. I'm a meathead. Look at me. Not really big enough to be a meathead, but a meathead. Davey, I asked him earlier today before the show, because this is the question that is bothering me. Why have media members jumped up and down, stood on their head, and pooped snowballs over Shedeur Sanders, and nobody has the answer? Maybe it's because he's Deion's son. Maybe because it's the Browns. That's what Nick thought. Maybe it's because he's African-American, Deion Sanders' son, on the Browns. Well, we've had African-American quarterbacks. We've had guys, I guess, that were famous coming out of high school. Cam Newton famously was in the news every single day for his dad allegedly trying to sell him. I don't know, man. I don't have it, but they are absolutely flipping out, these media folks. They are. He's not ready. And Kevin Stefanski did him, his dad, his minions, all a favor by knowing he's not ready, by knowing he couldn't lead an NFL team. And we saw it yesterday. One of the biggest storylines going into the NFL season, or even one of the biggest storylines at the Super Bowl, for crying out loud, was Shedeur freaking Sanders, who led his team to a 13-12 record. Now, that is not in context because Daddy Deion, Shedeur, and Travis Hunter all came over and turned a bad program into at least one that got over 500 in 2 years. So there is value in that, but not the kind of value that Shedeur Sanders has been getting. I remember, and I've said this, we were doing our show from the Super Bowl Radio Row. Here comes an entourage. Some were wearing the same shirts, which must have been promoting something. I looked, I'm like, that's Shedeur Sanders and a bunch of clowns. Literal clowns, not literal clowns. But you know what I'm talking about. Guys acting like complete childish fools. And they're walking through Radio Row where there's like actual superstars, and they were the biggest attention-getting group. Not even because of being clowns, but because Shedeur Sanders had that kind of sucking. I don't understand it. I don't. I'll give you a vile reaction right here. This is a reaction from Shedeur fan ACC when Dillon Gabriel got hit, knocked out with a concussion. There it is right there. Now, let me ask you a question. That's just utter insanity. You know what I mean? Look at it. Hopefully, season ending. Now, that's just out of its mind stupid. They want Dillon Gabriel to have a season-ending concussion. Damn. Why? So Shedeur Sanders can play. It's all insanity to me. So Sanders starts the second half. This is a storybook finish, right? The Browns are leading 16-10, but it quickly went downhill. And I will tell you this, I am not rooting for this. I am rooting for the kid. I have been. I've been very clear about it. When Urban Meyer went to practice, said, Dan, this is a serious operation with serious coaches, and this kid's pretty good. Didn't say he was great, say he's pretty good. I root for this kid, but you can't root for this kid, or you can root for this kid, and also understand 4 for 16, 47 passing yards, a pick, 0 touchdowns, 13.5 passer rating. And, ladies and gentlemen, 2 sacks taken. And as Nick has said, and NFL folk that are looking at this objectively have said, some guys 2, 3, 4-step drop. He's at like a 12-yard drop. He hasn't seen much action in practice. Let's go the other side. And, you know, the problems that he saw in training camp of him bailing out too quickly were certainly there. I think we all saw them yesterday. We do. He had a clean pocket, and he bails out. Look, in the NFL, you got to step up in the pocket. Usually it goes that way. Up, left, up, right. Backwards and around. Mahomes can do it. Sanders, not yet. Here's what Shedeur Sanders had to say in his first post-game comment of real activity this year.
I think you've seen it was just rough overall. It was a rough day overall. But the thing that I was excited about is just being able to get out there, It's the first time I got hit, since my last game at Colorado. So just having that feeling back, is good. And, I feel fulfilled overall when it comes to being out there practicing, going in between the lines, seeing actually what it's like. And I know I'm made for it, I don't think there's a doubt in my mind that final drive was going to go down there, score. Things happened, we didn't, but I was just excited because I knew what I was going to be able to do out there. And for the team, for the linemen, and even getting snaps from Poe, that was amazing. Going out there in a live game, being able to do that with him, and the way the guys, the way the O-line, running back, receivers, defense, all right around. That's all you guys for a quarterback.
Yeah, he's used to everybody giggling at his immature stuff. He starts out with one of his nonsensical, look at me, I'm funny, and nobody laughed. And you could tell, I'm a body language expert. I really am, language expert as well. I am. And you know what? I could tell he went for, these are all my buddies. Well, they are all your buddies until you actually play. Until you actually play and you go 4 for 16, 47 yards, no touchdowns, an interception, 13.5 passer rating. Your team was in the lead, and then they got their ass beat, and he took 2 sacks. But it doesn't stop the media. It doesn't stop the once upon a time at ESPN folk like Josina Anderson for showing you exactly why folks, they're tired of the whole Sanders thing. Promotion over production, arrogance over production. Here's what Josina Anderson, who at one point in her life was actually at ESPN, actually a sideline lady. She actually stood in studio. Here's what she tweeted out. Here was the against all odds 3rd and 10 completion by Sanders under 2 minutes. Now, we can't show you, but against all odds? The throw was about, I don't know, you can't see it, but you see where the 40 is? The throw was between the 40 and the 45, and the kid that made the catch made an unbelievable move. But they can't do it. Against all odds. I mean, those of you that are trying to save a hill, you don't have nothing. On Shedeur Sanders, 3rd and 12, against all odds. Kevin Stefanski confirmed that the second half of today's game was Shedeur Sanders' first snap with the starting offense since he was drafted by the Browns. Okay. Well, there are guys, and I'm not saying all of them. In fact, I would say most do what Shedeur Sanders do. That can't play in those situations. But let me turn it to the positive. If you really look at sports, really look at it, so many coaches and so many players failed in their debuts. I mean, Jimmy Johnson won 2 Super Bowls, 2 with the Dallas Cowboys after starting, 0-11 or 0-14, didn't win a game. Not a single game. Now, there are others that get fired for that. Guys' debuts don't always go well. Sometimes you splat in your debut. It'll be interesting to see. Because the bar is so low, it'll be interesting to see whether Shedeur Sanders, if he gets another crack at it, he's got a chance to start next week. If Shedeur Sanders, who is going to have to listen to all of the nonsense and try to put that nonsensical, childish way about him behind, gets serious against the Raiders. I hope he gets a chance. I'm kind of rooting for the kid. I actually think he's a really nice kid that is acting. Can't act as well as his dad. Everybody knew that Neon Deion thing was an act. Hell, Deion Sanders was like a first-team academic All-American when he was in college. He had an act. This kid, I don't know if it's an act or not. It may just be childishness. It may just be privilege. That's how he seems to me. But I'm rooting for him. Hell, I don't know. I like stories like this where guys flop and then they play well. But you know what? Sometimes you flop, sometimes you splat. He'll get a chance, I hope, this weekend. This episode brought to you by PrizePicks. You and I make decisions every day. But on PrizePicks, being right gets you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on PrizePicks, where it is good to be right. PrizePicks is also the best way to get action on sports in more than 40-plus states, including Georgia, where my peeps live, and they're loving it, Texas and California. PrizePicks also offers a injury reboot. If one of your players leaves the game in the first half, doesn't return, PrizePicks will not count it as a loss. PrizePicks is the place to win cash while watching sports. Join millions of users and sign up today. Download the PrizePicks app. Use code DAKICH. Get 50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code Dakich, DAKICH. Get 50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. It's good to be right. I broadcast games for 10 years. And I don't know. There's a couple things that I never would say. One of them doesn't have anything to do with broadcast. You know, women say the word muffin top. Oh, I've got a muffin top. You'll never hear me say that except to make fun of it. Probably never hear me say the words, well, Jeff Goodman expertly said. Yeah, I probably wouldn't say that. But Phil Simms, former NFL quarterback and really good, Tony Romo took his job, NFL analyst, is not a fan of football announcers constantly throwing out the term QBR, quarterback rating, on TV broadcast, stating, who gives a about QBR? Before going on to discuss, he relies on his eyes to tell him if a quarterback is good or not. All right. Here's what I always thought, and I'm wrong, because I watch baseball, and baseball guys give you WAR plus and all this stuff. I don't know what it means. They assume everybody does, and I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I've never been told. I understand quarterback rating, but what is it? Well, this one takes all of is it 0 to 100? Because, well, the old school quarterback rating went to like 143.7 or whatever it was. The new one, I think it's ESPN, goes from 0 to 100. Nobody explains it. And I'll tell you something else while we're at this. Nobody explains to fans, and I've texted my buddies that are producers and directors, why doesn't anybody explain what leverage is? If you watch college football or professional football weekends, nobody ever explains. He's got inside leverage. What does that mean? He's already there? I honestly don't know. I'm dumb. Explain it to me. I probably can tell you most of the old school verbiage in football and basketball and baseball, but this new school stuff, hey, I'm a person too, damn it. I would like to know, what does QBR mean? What goes into QBR? What's the difference between the old school NFL QBR and the new school ESPN? But I get it. Hey, Dakich, look it up. You're right. I could. But the thing about it is, if you're going to use that on a broadcast, then tell me what it means. This is Sam Newman of Awful Announcing. The former CBS analyst appeared on God Bless Football this week, unloaded on the state of NFL commentary, particularly the reliance on advanced stats over actually watching games, which, according to former New York Giants quarterback, is the appeal of doing his podcast with his son, Matt. I sit here, Phil Simms said, and watch a lot of TV because the games, when I watch them, the computer's not making any noise. So I'd listen to things. Let me write that down. That was the dumbest ass statement I've ever heard. Let's talk about his QBR. You know what? The last 6 games, his QBR. Who gives a about your QBR? Who the is that? It's unbelievable. It really is. Yes, I'm with Phil Simms on this, but I wouldn't have the same problem if they explained QBR. He also criticized the way analysts rely on completion percentage as an easy metric rather than totally assessing a quarterback's performance. He argued that with today's offensive schemes boosting those numbers, that stat has become so inflated it no longer holds much true value. This is Simms. All you have to do is one thing, watch the game and determine how he played. That takes time to watch. So I'm just going to look at, he only completed 64%. God, you imagine these percentages they complete now, close to 80? Doesn't make you an accurate passer. It means you're throwing about 10 screens a game behind the line of scrimmage. That's Phil Simms. All right. He's not wrong, but mea culpa. We should probably clip this because Dakich once again is going to say, I might have been wrong about Archie Manning. Arch Manning, I might have. I'm watching the game the other day. Do I think he's great? Absolutely not. But I'm changing my tune on him. The ball comes out pretty good. I said before, if his last name was Dakich, he would be at Bowling Green. And I said that, not Texas. And I said that after watching clips of him in high school. All right. Not the little fat kid chasing him either, watching the ball come out. And I said, when he throws the ball, it doesn't pop. The ball stays here while his arm is going and the ball goes. It's different now. Now, what I saw at Arch Manning, I ain't mad at it. File me under one of those that says by this time next year, Arch Manning will be ensconced as the first quarterback picked in the NFL draft. If he goes this year, I think you're making a hell of a mistake. I do. I watched Texas Saturday night, and I got to tell you, I love the way the ball came out of his hands. I did. Maybe, just maybe, though I had recency bias. The lovely Lee Ross and I were on the field standing next to Orange Bowl representatives for the Indiana-Wisconsin game. And the first pass of the game, Fernando Mendoza, right hash line, threw a dart on a down and out to the left sideline. You know, what was it, a 15, 10-yard completion? I don't know, but the pass went 30, 40 yards, right? And that thing was like a bullet out of his hand. And the Orange Bowl representative said to the other Orange Bowl representative, boy, he's got a cannon. So I started watching that kind of the rest of the game. He does. Now, the quarterback for Wisconsin threw it like me. But anyway, then I'm watching Arch, mea culpa. Mea culpa, he's better than I thought. And that's with the eyes, not with the score, not with every NFL/college football expert breathing down his neck. That's my fat ass watching on my screen, being pleasantly surprised what Phil Simms is saying. I'm watching, I'm liking a lot better than what I saw before or heard about. I hope Arch Manning and Shedeur Sanders battle in a Super Bowl one day. Wouldn't that be cool? Hey, you enjoying the show? Hey, we're over 6,000. The march to 10,000 is moving on. Of course you are. Make sure you head on over to youtube.com/@ Don't at me with Dan Dakich to like, comment, and subscribe. That way you will never miss any of our great content. Whoa, whoa. Listen to this story. Stefon Diggs, who's playing really well, is suing an influencer named Christopher Blake Griffin, who accused Diggs of drugging and sexually assaulting him. And despite Diggs' lawsuit, Griffin is standing by his story and is looking forward to show the world in court that regardless of the fairy tale fabricated by Mr. Diggs' high-priced New York lawyers, he is the victim of Mr. Diggs' unwanted sexual advances and Diggs' brother's violent acts. According to court documents filed, this is unbelievable. This is from Amber Harding of Outkick. Court documents filed October 1st and obtained by TMZ. Diggs claimed that the would-be social media influencer invented a false story about an incident that he says never happened. Diggs alleged the two attended a charity basketball game, Washington, D.C., May 2023, then went with other influences to a club heading back to his home in Rockville, Maryland. Per the filing, Diggs said he went to the bathroom shortly after getting home, and there his assistant asked Griffin to leave. Diggs maintained this was the full extent of their interaction. More than 2 years later, August 2025, Griffin shared a police report in which he claimed the All-Pro receiver drugged and sexually assaulted him on May 22nd, 2023, and conspired to have him killed to suppress his gay bisexual secrets for becoming exposed. In the report, Griffin alleged Diggs offered him candy but did not know it was laced with drugs, claiming Diggs put his tongue in his ear in a kissing fashion and said he was later stripped of his clothing, robbed, beaten, forced into a car. Wow. Huh. Mr. Griffin, according to Griffin's attorney, Mr. Griffin is looking forward to showing the world in court that regardless of the fairy tale fabricated by Mr. Diggs' high-priced New York lawyers, he's a victim of Mr. Diggs' unwanted sexual advances and his brother's violent acts. Not only will we defend against false allegations, but our counterclaims of sexual battery will be filed shortly. Wow. That ain't good for Mr. Diggs. That doesn't sound very good at all. Now, Mr. Diggs is going to have to figure this out because this does not appear to be going away anytime soon. Look, I tell you all the time, I ain't believing Diggs. I ain't believing Griffin. I'll believe the evidence. And I don't know what the evidence is. None of us do. But it is fascinating. It's very, very, very fascinating. By the way, let's do a quick recap, shall we, of what went down this weekend. I got bad news kind of for Indiana football fans, a little bit. Urban Meyer, the great football coach, when he was in Bloomington with Big Noon Kickoff for the Indiana-UCLA game, told me this. He said, Dan, remember last year I told you the bodies of Indiana aren't elite when it comes to the Georgias, the Alabamas, the Ohio States of the world, maybe even the Notre Dames. I said, yes, I remember. He said, well, they're better, but they ain't elite still. Now, what does that mean? Not sure. However, like the Supreme Court, I may not be able to find it, but I know it when I see it. Again, on the sideline, Lee and I, first half Indiana, Wisconsin's kind of clear to me. Not really, really, really elite. Wisconsin, even though they had a quarterback, there was a fourth-string quarterback that hadn't been in meetings, according to producer of the game, Bart Fox, hadn't even been in any type of quarterback meetings all year until the last 2 weeks. Well, they're not going to beat Indiana at Indiana on senior day. They're just not. But the bodies, they pushed Indiana around for a good period of time. They looked bigger, stronger, more physical. And then, of course, Mendoza, who was 22 of 24 for 299 yards and 4 touchdowns, and Hemby, the running back, they just kind of took over. They were just a better football team, the more connected football team, the more ready to win football team. And quarterback play makes a difference. But look at that. Watch that. Watch that big time. Other yelling and screaming. You know, we love Herbie. We love the folks at ESPN College Football. Got no beef with them. Love Herbie. Herbie's a friend of the show. But I got to tell you, if a 9-3 team, or whatever Texas is going to end up being, makes the college football playoff from the SEC, I don't want anybody ever at any point in time to get mad on any type accusations of SEC bias on ESPN. You know, we got stuck. Stock down. Here we go. Well, the weekend in Bloomington. The weekend in Bloomington is absolutely a stock up. I had no idea that Davey and Sean and Chuck and Ryan were going to work as hard as they did. I thought we were, I thought we were going to go do a show. I didn't realize we were going to have a whole set at the upstairs pub. I didn't realize we were going to have tent and everything else at the tailgate. What a freaking weekend. And those guys are studs. The team here at Outkick is second to none, period. Some of the highlights, well, a couple of the highlights are how many people came out. I was anticipating after the upstairs pub put out a video of me. Well, I figured that the whole world hated me. Well, it turns out they don't. Not in Bloomington anyway. I'll tell you another highlight, getting to walk around Assembly Hall and talk about Assembly Hall, seeing my good friend Rusty Stillions, who is the equipment man, and we're going to be praying for him. He's going under the knife heart surgery, running into Bobby Wilkerson and Kent Benson, 2 of the starters, and interviewing them, 2 of the starters on, of course, the last undefeated national championship team. Eating wings at Buffalo's, always a pleasure. Hanging out with former football coach Mark Deal, former trainer at IU Timmy Garl, SID J.D. Campbell, and just having a blast with people left and right. It was so much fun, but I got to tell you, I apologize to Davey and Chuck and Sean and Ryan. I did not know that it was going to be that kind of work for them. Or my fat ass might have helped. And by the way, the steaks at Zagreb, not bad. The wine at Zagreb, not bad. What a freaking weekend. And Fernando Mendoza went 22 of 24 for 300 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, and jumped to the head of the Heisman voting, which you know I have bet on. Stock up, Oklahoma football. Wow. Went into Alabama and got a win. A road win in Alabama after a road win at Tennessee. The road win at Alabama was a testament to what I think Oklahoma fans thought they were getting when Brent Venables was hired from Clemson as the number 1 defensive coordinator in the country. I got to tell you, man, that was a tough, physical Oklahoma football team. They named the Oklahoma Drill for a reason, because back when Bud Wilkerson was the coach at Oklahoma, they were among, if not the toughest teams. And you see that kid right there, Johnny Mateer, he is damn good. I don't know where he fits in the NFL. I have no idea. I don't know if he's Baker Mayfield. I don't know. I don't think he's going to be described by Dan Orlovsky and all the wonks at ESPN as a generational talent. But I'll tell you this, man, I'll take that kid on my team every single day of the week, particularly on Saturdays when they play, particularly on Saturdays in the second half. I don't even care about his numbers. Remember when Baker Mayfield at Oklahoma went into Ohio Stadium, won the game, planted a flag at midfield for Oklahoma? That's who I feel Mateer is. No. That dude is a stud. Victor Wembanyama. Victor Wembanyama is all the rage. We're going to talk to Justin Termine of NBA Radio coming up to get a little hint. But that kid right there is all the rage. We've never seen anything like him. 7'5", can shoot, can dribble. A little stick figure-ish. Okay, big deal. But he absolutely made Draymond Green look like a child in a posterizing dunk. And, of course, Green acted like a child after doing that thing that the little fat kid does in 6th grade, where basically he guards his man by getting up under him and putting his hands up. It's ridiculous. But Victor Wembanyama, he has moved into this category. He's moved into the category of, all right, I got to go see Victor Wembanyama before he either gets hurt, quits, or I die. One of the three. That's the category he's moved into. It's really a Gretzky category. I regret never seeing, not one time, Wayne Gretzky play hockey. I regret it. No, it's no good. No good at all. Totally, completely regret it. I got to see Wembanyama. Have to. File this under idiots. Idiots being idiots, because only idiots spit on one another. Listen to this, Jamar Chase and Jalen Ramsey. Chase spit on Ramsey, and Jalen Ramsey was dumb enough to throw a punch at Chase's helmet and got ejected. This is my favorite thing about football. My favorite thing about football, well, it's not my favorite thing, but I like it. I like when they throw punches at helmeted men. See, in hockey, they drop the gloves. In hockey, helmets are gone, gloves are off, and if the helmet is on, it's only the top face mask helmet, and they drop the glove so you can hit somebody with a fist, not with a glove. You ever had a real hockey glove on? Oh, my God. Anyway, don't throw punches at a dude with a helmet, because, number one, it ain't going to affect him unless you catch him in the throat. And number two, because you threw a punch, you're going to get ejected. But he spit on me. I didn't see it. I saw you throw a punch, automatic ejection. South Carolina blew the biggest lead in FBS this year. South Carolina, Shane Beamer, friend of the show. I like DMing with him. They were up 30-3 at half, rolling, absolutely rolling Texas A&M. Honest to God. They lost 31-30, and there was a state trooper. You're going to see this guy hit Nick Harbor after a touchdown. It was unbelievable, this game. Look at this. State trooper, what? Look at him. Why are we doing that? I mean, what the hell? Guy's walking out, and the guy actually hits on one side, and if you watch his left arm. He throws a little shot to the other kid, 27. You know, one of the thing that I dislike most the fan that I dislike most is former football guy. Now, former football guy, third string all Northwest Valley Conference. They come to Indiana, or if you go to Ohio State game, that's who they are. You see all these guys, most of them, I don't know if they wear their Letterman's jacket, but they might as well. Anyway, they're all hepped up because it's a football game. That's what this state trooper is. He's coming through, and you see his other arm, man. He hits the guy with this one, and his other arm kind of, what's he thinking? You're a state trooper, great. That's the second dumbest thing I've ever seen a state trooper do. You know number one. Number one, you know what it was. The state trooper saying that if you're in Carver Hawkeye Arena, shoot Dakich in the head. What? Are you crazy? We love having people with energy, and Justin Termine, man, he's got energy at Termine Radio. You also listen to him, Sirius XM host of the NBA Today. He hosts from 4 to 7 on NBA TV as well, and Sirius XM NBA. He's everywhere. As my father used to say, he's like dog shit. He's everywhere. Bada bing, bada bang, bada boom. There you go. Hey, Victor Wembanyama has moved into, I call it, my personal Wayne Gretzky class, meaning I never saw Gretzky play hockey, and I'm pissed off about it. I saw Jordan, I saw Barry Bonds, all that. Wembanyama has moved into, I got to see him before I die. He quits, he retires. Do I not? Is he that special?
Yeah, I think I agree with you. And it's funny that you brought that up because I just rattled off for some reason the 5 guys that I think are must-watch throughout my lifetime. And you're a little bit older than me, but see if you agree with the list. And Wembanyama can certainly soon be on that list. He's not there yet. But the 5 guys I came up with, 2 guys that are currently playing, Jokic and Steph Curry. To me, they're 2 of the great offensive players in the history of the sport. Jokic is encroaching on the greatest offensive player that I've ever seen. Then the other 3 that I mentioned were Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, and Michael Jordan. So those were the 5 guys during my lifetime. So that's not taken into account like Wilt, Dr. J during his prime in the 1970s, etc. Those are the 5. And then I think there's a big drop-off, all due respect to guys like LeBron, Kobe, Shaq, Allen Iverson. And it's not the list of the 5 best, just the 5 most entertaining. And Wembanyama looks like he could soon be on that list because the guy is just a blast to watch. You see something different every single night.
I totally agree with your list, and I'll tell you why I totally agree with your list. Last year, I never asked Kevin Pritchard for tickets. I if I go, it's a couple times a year, but Jokic was in town, and to your point on that list, I told my wife, we got to go. She's like, what? I go, we got to go. I've got to see this guy in person. He was on my list. I'm with you, Bird, Magic, Jordan. I'm totally with you. Yeah, I don't go back to Wilt and those guys. I did see Kareem with the Lakers with Magic one time, and I think Kareem and Jordan are the 2 greatest in my era. I did see LeBron. But no, I'm with you. I am completely and totally with you on that list. Let me before I get into other stuff, what will be a fulfilled, reach his potential as a player, as a teammate career for Wembanyama?
I mean, I think the way that you're setting him up, right, is that it's to join like the list of 7 or 8 greatest players of all time, or is it like the end of the day? You say he is arguably the greatest player of all time, and people can't call you stupid. And I think there's like you tune into sports talk radio, you get the early morning television shows, and it's LeBron, Jordan, LeBron. I think that's unfair to a list of about 5 or 6 other guys, a couple of whom we discussed. I think you can legitimately make an argument that Wilt Chamberlain's the greatest player of all time, and whoever you're arguing with might not agree, but they can't call you an idiot. I think you could do the same thing with Russell and Kareem and Magic and Bird, and that's probably the list right now. And if Wembanyama doesn't join that list, I think it would be viewed as a disappointment. Now, you could say that's setting him up for failure, but the way that we've hyped this guy and then what we've seen, I mean, I've always said this, Dan, I think the greatest defensive player of all time is Bill Russell. I don't think that's even been debatable for basically 70 years. Maybe Hakeem, you could argue. But the greatest player of all time, you could argue, like, maybe you think it's Kareem, maybe you think it's Jordan, maybe you think it's Magic, Bird, etc. Like, that has changed maybe every 10 years or so. I think we've been with the greatest defensive player of all time for about 60, 70 years. And I think Wembanyama's the first guy I could legitimately see challenging Bill Russell for that title and cracking the top two with Russell and Hakeem. I think he's that good defense. I've never seen anything like it. So I think it'd be a disappointment at the end of his career. We're not saying he's one of the arguably greatest, the greatest player of all time.
Last thing on that, anybody that says Will Chamberlain has the numerical advantage, you know what I mean? Like the numbers Will Chamberlain put out there, I mean, there's, 50 and 25. I mean, there's no, I didn't see him in his prime. Like, I'm old enough, but I never saw him. I remember a little TV, but hey, I want to get your impression. Everybody tells me, and I mean everybody, that this gambling thing is bigger. It's going to break. It's going to do all those things. I did see where, I guess it's the NBA. They got cell phones from the Lakers. Where do you see this gambling thing? And specifically, what is your thought about the Lakers' involvement in this?
Well, it seems to be Damon Jones who's hanging around LeBron. He's LeBron's guy who's giving information out on whether LeBron is going to play in certain games or not. So that seems to be the Lakers connection. Hopefully it's not any bigger than that. You don't want anybody involved in it, but specifically the greatest player in the sport over the last 25 years or so and the preeminent organization. So you hope it doesn't go any further than that. Listen, I thank the government for looking into it. I want this stuff out of the game. I want to know what I'm watching is real. And if guys were involved in this illegal, I want them caught, I want them outed, and I want them nowhere near the sport again. So, there's been some people come out and say, well, why are they targeting the NBA, blah, blah, blah. Well, they have since gone after baseball. And regardless, whether it's like a personal vendetta against the NBA, etc., I don't care what the reason is, as long as they get this stuff out of the sport, and hopefully they find every single person that's got even an inkling of guilt.
Do you think that this is as widespread as people are making this?
$100 million. So to me, somebody that I feel like, I guess I have common sense, that seems stupid. But if those guys were willing to do it and with that much money, then I wouldn't be shocked if it involves more people. Hopefully it doesn't, but it seems like it probably does.
11-2, the Pistons. What are your thoughts?
It's amazing because, it's a couple of years ago, they lose 28 straight, Dan, and it seemed like no matter who they were playing, they were going to end up losing. And in this situation, it doesn't matter who they're playing and they're going to end up winning because Cade Cunningham hasn't played the last two games. Asar Thompson's missed a bunch. Jalen Duren's missed a couple of games here. Tobias Harris has missed a bunch. They haven't even had Jaden Ivey. And they're getting guys like Dennis Jenkins, who I never even heard of leading up to this little 3-game stretch. He's stepping up and he's basically averaging 20 points and 8 assists during the stretch. So it's amazing how they go from losing 28 straight to winning 9 straight with a really good opportunity against the Pacers to make it 10 straight for the first time since 2008 later tonight. So I love them. To me, they've been the most exciting team to watch because they play with energy. And I think that energy probably comes from the fact that they overcame the adversity of a couple of years ago being embarrassed.
Man, you mentioned my Pacers. God dang, they can't stay healthy. They can't. Isn't it amazing how, fans think that a success is going to last forever because we got young guys. But they lined up for Game 7 thinking, man, this is – and next thing you know, Halliburton's down. They can't win a game. They can't keep anybody healthy. Sports is interesting. You got a chance to win, man. I don't give a damn who's on your team. You got to go all in right now because you never know. And the Pacers, Justin, are a fantastic example of how quickly this thing can go away. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, Game 4, was it Game 4 when they were up 2-1? They had a chance to go up 3-1. They're up by 10 points right before the fourth quarter. I think it was either an Obi Toppin or a Miles Turner missed free throw. Jalen Williams hit a big shot right before the buzzer going into the fourth quarter. Like, you'll look back on that forever. That little, third quarter stretch, last minute of the third quarter, double-digit victory at home, up 2-1, chance to go up 3-1, can't close the door. I said it at the time. And now it's going in the direction where I know like the Pacers are an organization that tanks like Oklahoma City did to get where they got. Like Oklahoma City's sitting here because they did tank for 2 years in a row on purpose. San Antonio created a dynasty off tanking. I know Indiana historically doesn't do that, but with a 1-11 start, all these guys dropping like flies already behind the 8 ball, I think that's probably the intelligent thing to do, especially in a small market with as loaded as this draft is.
What do you think about the Celtics sitting here 7-7? Good start, given no Jason Tatum. Where are you at with the Celtics and the Lakers? Where are you at with the Lakers start?
Well, so with the Lakers, I didn't think they were going to be able to defend well enough. So it's kind of shocking that they've been playing like this, especially without LeBron. I think you saw against OKC, there's a clear difference between them and the upper echelon. So even with LeBron, I don't think they can compete for a championship. But it does make it a little bit more interesting because I think even LeBron thought, hey, if I miss the first month or so of the season, the team's going to struggle. It'll make me look a little bit better when I come back. No, now he's got to kind of fit in and make sure that they don't tail off a little bit. So I am looking to see what type of impact he has on them. And Austin Reeves, who could have anticipated that he was going to turn into Jerry West 2.0. And then with Boston, I think the issue with Boston is they're too good to tank, but they're also too good to really beat good teams and be competitive. So they're stuck in the worst place in the entire NBA, which is right in the middle of the pack.
All right, last thing. I loved him when he was at Michigan State and I was broadcasting his games. He was my go-to quote, that. I've had enough of Draymond Green. Where do you start? I've just had enough. He's chest to chest with a fan. I've just had enough of this guy. Enough already.
Yeah, I've had enough of everybody out in Golden. I shouldn't say everybody because Steph I loved when Clay was out there. I loved him as well. But shouldn't Steph be the guy that's talking the most? You never hear from Steph Curry. You just hear from him dropping back-to-back like 48 and 9-point games against San Antonio. But you always got something from Draymond Green, and it comes off as hypocritical where he says one thing, then he behaves the other way. It's the same thing with Steve Kerr. He says one thing, behaves the other way. It's like this guy goes around giving a dirty shot to everybody in the entire NBA. His mouth is foul, yet Steve Kerr's telling the fans in Boston, well, stop swearing, it's inappropriate. Then he's telling Dylan Brooks, well, it's against the code when Dylan Brooks takes out one of his guys, but when Draymond takes somebody out, he doesn't say anything. Marcus Smart dives for a loose ball at Steph Curry's ankles, and he gets a lecture on the sideline, but then Draymond does it to somebody else, and there's nothing said. So there's a lot of, in my estimate, listen, they give us a ton of content, but there's a lot of talk, and there's a lot of hypocrisy when it comes to both Draymond Green and Steve Kerr. It drives me up a wall.
Are we going to have to listen to Draymond Green post-playing career being in Barkley's seat? We're going to, aren't we? We're going to have to listen to that idiot, aren't we?
Here's the thing that's annoying is I think Barkley's the best media member that we have. And the reason is because he'll give you harsh criticism, but it comes off in a good-natured way. And Charles Barkley is funny. Draymond Green thinks he's Charles Barkley, and he could be Charles Barkley. But when Draymond delivers a point, it comes off as vindictive and mean-spirited. So you got to learn to deliver your criticism in a funny manner. That's what Barkley does. Draymond just comes off as flat-out mean.
Right. I would add stupid, too, but that's just me. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you, Justin. Thank you, man. Thanks for coming on.
Always have fun, Dan. Thanks a lot, buddy.
Yeah, it's always fun with Justin Termine. You can catch him every day, 4 to 7, on NBA TV, NBA Today, and on Sirius XM Radio. It's fantastic. Look, I listen on my way home. I do. That's because I got energy, gets going, that kind of thing. All right. We had an unbelievable time at Assembly Hall. And we lucked into, really, they're filming a 50-year documentary on the 1976 Indiana basketball Hoosiers. And that is the last team that has gone undefeated, which is amazing to me because we've had so many great players, so many fantastic teams. I think about Duke and Hurley and Leitner and Hill and all these guys. UNLV's great team. I just do. I think, man, there's so many great teams. Kentucky's crew that ended up losing to Wisconsin after they had gone undefeated. Hell, Wichita State went undefeated during the regular season. But anyway, And we lucked into two of the icons. First-round pick Bobby Wilkerson, considered the best defensive guard, and if you look this up, maybe in the history of college basketball. And he and Quinn Buckner were the best defensive tandem for sure in college basketball. Kent Benson, number one pick in the 1977 draft, long NBA career, player of the year in 1977. Here we are having a chance to talk to these two icons of not only Indiana, but of college basketball. You have no idea what a thrill this is for me. On my right is Bobby Wilkerson, the Spider. He got in a stance and kicked your ass. And then on my left, first pick in the 1977 NBA draft, Kent Benson. Both of these guys, well, in the state of Indiana and across college basketball, absolute legends, last undefeated team. Think about that for just a second. 1976. Bobby ends up as a first-round pick. Kent ends up as the player of the year in the country, first pick in the draft. Bobby, I said this earlier. I remember you. I was like 10. You were a high school player, Anderson, Madison Heights.
Yep.
And I'm not gonna lie. I couldn't shoot. You could. I couldn't defend. You could. But I wanted to play like you. Oh, Bobby, I always want. Bobby, talk about the experience and looking back on 50 years. Can you believe that?
Oh man, it's a blessing. Me and Kent talk about it all the time and how God has blessed us to be here. And then I just love it for our fans.
When you look back, because I was describing that team earlier, tell me there was a lot of close calls in there. Ohio State, Benny tips it in and Jimmy Cruz throws it up a lot of close calls.
Yeah.
When you look back at that team, Knight always told me that he told you guys, we're going undefeated, period. Mm-hmm. Is that true?
Yes.
What was the mindset all year long?
From the beginning, because of the year before, we stayed on campus and we played every day and we worked, and our mindset was nobody's going to beat us. It didn't matter. Halftime didn't even matter because we adjust and we come out and we take them.
You got famously knocked out in the national championship game. Mm-hmm. Talk about that experience, maybe right after and then learning you guys had won. What was that evening like?
Well, I don't remember a lot, but what I did remember was Coach Knight and John Havlicek came in the in the hospital, and I just know that they were there. And then I asked them one question: did we win? I still had my uniform on. The nurse said I wouldn't let nobody take it off. So I asked them, did we win? And that was it.
Man, I remember being a high school 8th grader going, oh man, Indiana might lose. Now Bobby Wilkerson isn't there, but you, Buckner, you took over.
Yes, we did. We went into the locker room 6 points down, and we were concerned about Bobby's health and well-being because all we saw was him being carried off unconscious on the floor. And Coach knew that we needed to know how Bobby was. And the first thing he said, boys, Bobby's resting comfortably at the hospital, and he's under observation. He's going to be okay. And we needed to know that right off.
Yeah.
And so Coach Knight basically said, boys, in the next 20 minutes, you have an opportunity to make history. And how prophetic that is today, but at the time, we never thought about it being so prophetic. And here it is 50 years later, and we're still the last undefeated national champions.
Did you ever, either of you ever imagine 50 years later, no one's been undefeated? Did you even think about it, I guess?
Never thought about it, really. I mean, press, media, we get all kinds of questions, people coming up to us and everything. But, Dan, records are made to be broken. Yeah. And that record's going to be tough to beat.
That's unbelievable. I say it all the time. 73 Dolphins, NFL, 76 Hoosiers. We should have tucked my shirt in, but you know what? What are you going to do? Bobby Wilkerson, look it up, man. I'm telling you, those two guys, unbelievable run. They went undefeated the year before in 75. Scott May, player of the year, broke his arm, and they lost to Kentucky in the Elite Eight. You were almost going to have 2 years straight. Well, the 2 years straight regular season / Big Ten season. They did go undefeated. You almost had 2 straight years. Woke-a-dope me. Let's do it. Oh, man, you get an at-home Trump derangement syndrome test, the screeching, the crying, the delusions, the extreme hate, the rage, the inability to tolerate any opinions other than your own. 99.9% accuracy. That is so funny. Man, there are a lot of people on Twitter. They need this test. I bet if we put this out on the Outkick.com's merch, I bet you for Christmas we could sell a ton of these. I do. I bet you we could make our own up, whatever you wanted to do. I'll guarantee you people would buy them, give them to friends. It would start family fights, and we're going to sit back, relax, and enjoy it. Next. Americans watching Democrats shut down the government, cheer Charlie Kirk's murder, torch Teslas, but put pedo books, pedophile books in classrooms, fly foreign flags, burn the American flag. I'm going slow here while trying to call the right bad. Look, you know my stance. Everything done is gaslighting. Everything done is complete and utter nonsense. They do it, then deflect it onto us. I don't even pay attention to it anymore. Next. Titanic 2, the search for climate change. Pop, 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 pop. Is that an iceberg ahead? I thought they had already effing melted. Kate Winslet, you stud, you. Anyway, man, climate change. I'm going to tell you, it's the biggest hoax of our lifetime. All these guys that espouse climate change continue to not really do anything about climate change except for what? Get rich off talking about climate change. There you go. Hey, last thing. A massive thank you to our crew here, Ryan and Davey and Chuck and Sean, for the work they put in on our little excursion to Bloomington. Hopefully, we'll all meet up again in Indy in 2 weeks. And hopefully it's IU taking on Ohio State in what would be the biggest game in the history of Indiana football. Ohio State's had a lot of those, but I cannot say enough about the crew here at Outkick. I think I said this earlier. I didn't get it. I didn't really know. I figured like when I do my radio show in a bar, I bring my equipment, I plug it in, and away I go. But that's not how it works. Man, they set up a stage over there at the upstairs pub. They set up a tent and all kind of giveaways over at the tailgate. And a special shout out to my friends at the upstairs pub. They made us feel at home. Eric, the HMFIC, while Steve Engel, the owner, was gone. And, oh, by the way, they gave us $10,000 to go to our bikes program. I'm stunned by their generosity. And the same with my friend Dan Bailey over at the Alley Bar. Dan Bailey at the Alley Bar, a little Nick hole-in-the-wall bar, put on the Illinois State USC game. Didn't go well for us. But my wife did get up and buy everybody in the place a drink, because that's what we do in the Alley Bar. And thank God we did it early enough where there wasn't 8 zillion people like there were later. Chuck, Davey, Ryan, Sean, thank you. Sean and I had a great time betting and winning, because Louisville's kicker, man, he's the dude that couldn't kick straight. We'll see you all tomorrow. Thanks, everybody.